Hi everyone, my name is Tracy and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Tracy.
Hi. So thank you for having me here. I have done the steps as they've been laid out before with the Big Book Step Study sponsor, and I've done almost all my amends except for one. I got to get that done, and I do 10, 11, and 12 on a daily basis with my higher power as well. I've only been to this meeting a couple of times. I usually go to the Big Book Step Study up by me. I live in Clinton, so I go up in Bolton, the Monday women's group, and then the Thursday Big Book Step Study. And let's see. So I'll start with. I want to talk about 6 and 7, the really powerful steps. But since most of you don't know me, I just want to give a little history of where I was before and where I am now. I just moved here 3 years ago from Maui, Hawaii. I got sober in Maui, and over there we didn't have Big Book Step Study, but we had, we were taught the steps. I thought everyone did the steps over there, so right away I was put in a step class. It's similar to Big Book Step Study, and I did the steps 4 times before coming here. I'm coming up on my, over there they call it birthdays instead of anniversaries, so I always have to think about it. I'm coming up on my anniversary next month. I'll have 7 years, August 20th. So I'm grateful to be here. I came from an alcoholic family, but my brother was a big alcoholic, and my dad, now that I'm sober, I see that he was too. He was a banker, and they always drank at all their functions and drinks before dinner and all that. But he was very functional, functioned. My brother was an alcoholic that got thrown out of high school, thrown out of college. And so I didn't know I was really an alcoholic because I am recovering bulimic. So I have an eating disorder. I first came into AA through Overeaters Anonymous. And I got sober back in my 20s and abstinent. They call it abstinent when you don't do sugar or flour. And then life got better. I got married. And then my husband then said, "Are you sure you're an alcoholic? You came in through Overeaters Anonymous." And I'm like, I was only like 24. I'm like, well, I'm not so sure. And yeah, I had my first DUI on campus when I was 19, which, did you guys even know that the campus police are real policemen? Like, they gave me a DUI. So I got that when I was 19. I flipped my car on its side when I was younger, and then flipped it back over, and we just continued driving. I've gone the wrong way on Major Highway up here in upstate New York at 2 in the morning, realized I was on the wrong side of the highway, and had to go over the grass to get back on the right side of the highway. I passed out, which I thought that was sleeping until I came into AA. I used to pass out at airports, and I thought I was sleeping. And then I heard, "Oh no, Tracy, you passed out." I would miss my planes coming from Maui. I'd miss planes in Maui. I've missed planes in Chicago, and I'd be in shorts in the middle of winter in these airports, and I have to get a new airline ticket, all that. But I thought I wasn't an alcoholic. But what happened was on Maui, things were getting pretty bad out there, and I remembered I can come back to a meeting. And AA meetings are very strong over there. I think because we have a lot of tourists that come. So if you go to an AA meeting on vacation, you're probably really into AA or you really need a meeting. So they're really fun meetings, and the people that live there are just really cool. And anyway, I went to a meeting, and I got to my first meeting on the beach, 5:30 at night. Sun is setting. We all have our sunglasses on. It just rained. There's rainbows. The whales are breaching, in the background because it's on the ocean. And I'm thinking, why the heck am I here? This sucks. This sucks. I can't believe I'm back here. And then my friend who took me to the meeting said, "This is the meeting I want you to go to in the morning." I went to a 7 a.m. meeting in the morning, and it was also on the beach, but in a church. And that was more my kind of meeting. Where we did the steps six days a week, at 7 a.m. And that's really where I got my sobriety, and did the steps. So fast forward, I did the steps, and I got married on my first year of sobriety. We too, you know how you guys mentioned that you celebrate your anniversary on the 3rd Saturday of the month? We did that on Maui too. It was the last Friday of the month, and it just happened that I got married. The day we were celebrating my first year was the day I was getting married. So I went to a meeting in the morning and got married at night. And it was amazing, amazing. I was on top of this world. And I ended up marrying the guy that I had been living with for 8 years. That was another thing, a character defect that we'll talk about in step 6. I was always a procrastinator. Things were always better on the other side. So I never married the guy never could marry the guy that I was living with for 8 years on Maui, and finally I got sober, and my sponsor said, he's a good guy, you should marry him. And I did, and that was, 6 years ago. So now we've been together 14 years, and we had twins. So we had twins in recovery. And what brought me here to Boston is one of those twins was born blind. We didn't know it, and at 11 weeks old, I went to the eye doctor over there in Hawaii, and they said, you need to have surgery right away. It was a Wednesday. They said, you need to have surgery on Monday, and you have to do it right now. And I flew back to Maui. It was Oahu, because that's the big city over there. Flew back, and I said to my husband, what are we going to do? And he said, I don't know. And he said, what have you done? Like, I did something to make my kid blind. What have you done? And if I was not working on myself and been fit, I probably would have gone out and drank, right? Or gotten stoned. I'm a big stoner too. And it's because I do these steps on a daily basis, and I ask for my higher power to help me. I knew what to do. I made some phone calls, and the next morning I went to my 7 a.m. meeting. Just like I brush my teeth in the morning, I went to my meeting, and I shared. And my friends at the meeting said, it's going to be okay. You've got a higher power. Google some other doctors. And I drive home, and there's my husband, who's not in program. He's my boyfriend at the time. Husband. He was my husband at the time. That's right. We were 2 years. Jeez. So he was there. He opened up the door, and he said, it's going to be okay. We're going to go to Boston. We're going to go to Children's Hospital in Boston. The surgeons, here's the phone number, call them. We're making the appointment. And what happened was he had a family member that's a doctor at Children's Hospital. So we had that surgery that Monday here at Children's Hospital instead of Monday in Oahu, where that doctor in Oahu had only done the surgery twice in her whole career. 12 times in her whole career, twice successfully. And not successful meant that my kid was going to be blind forever. And if you ever need heart surgery, for example, you don't want your surgeon to only have done it twice. You want them to do hundreds of times. So we had the surgery here, and we've had 3 surgeries, and Ryan can see. He's still legally blind, but he can see an iPad. We go to Perkins School for the Blind. We have lots of therapists. We're in. And anyway, so we moved here. In between doctor's appointments. I went back to Maui, sold everything, our cars on Craigslist, everything we owned that we couldn't put in a suitcase or a box in 3 weeks, and AA put their arms around us. And I had so many people help me, and it was actually kind of an easy move. And I lived on Maui 10 years, my husband 30 years, and we quit our jobs, we quit where we lived, and I knew it was going to be all right. And we moved here, and here we are. And just happened, my sponsor that I chose here, I liked her because of her sharing about her spirituality. I liked how she shared, and it ends up that she was a Big Book Step Study sponsor. So that's how I made it into these rooms. And she said, you can't speak until you've done the steps the way we've done it. I did the steps the way you guys did it, maybe a little bit more intense on steps 1, 2, and 3, because we did writing questions, but everything else exactly the same, like even down to the 5-ring notebook, and you write on the left side, and then you do your resentments on the right side, your turnarounds on the right side, kind of thing. And anyway, so that's my story. I'm here, and I'm honored to speak on 6 and 7, and I did take some notes just because I got nervous, because 6 and 7 is only 2 paragraphs. Wasn't that crazy when we read it and you're like, okay, we're done? And when you do steps 1 or 2, you read for 30 minutes. I'm like, okay. But 6 and 7, 2 paragraphs, that's it. But they're really important. And the people that have been around and share the way I like that balance in their lives, they love 6 and 7. They work on those character defects. So what I learned on 6 and 7, first let me share, I was taught to get the book, Drop the Rock. Drop the Rock is an easy book you can get on Amazon. It has steps 6 and 7, all these little examples on how to do 6 and 7. That's really when I felt like I got it. More than just reading 6 and 7, and more than just doing 6 and 7 and the 12 and 12. And I was taught memorize step 7, which is the prayer on page 76. I never memorized it, but over the years I always say it, and I love it. It talks about my Creator. I'm now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. All of me. And then grant me strength to go out from here, to do the best I can. And that really resonates with me, because I'm always going to have these character defects. And my biggest character defects I work on a daily basis are procrastination, showing up late, and messiness, right? And and people say, oh, you're late because you're trying to get something out of it. No, I'm late because I've been late since I was a little girl. Like I used to miss the bus when I was a little girl. My mom took me to school one day with hair curlers in her hair, and I found out when I was older she did that to embarrass me. It didn't work. I still was late. I would have to walk to school. I mean, I've just always been late. And now I'm about 50%, and I work on it because I make a plan, and I have so many doctor's appointments and AA meetings, and I took a recovery job my first year where I had to be on time, and it just all has helped me. And I struggle with it. I think I'll struggle with being late all my life, but I can work on it. And I used to say, I'm late always. And my sponsor said, you're not late always. And it's true, I'm not. If I look at all the appointments in my life, I have a lot of therapists come to our house for Ryan, and I'm not late all the time, I'm early. And my latest thing is I have a girlfriend that she's always 30 minutes early. She's a pharmacist, and she's in AA, and she's always 30 minutes early, and she taught me to do that. And when I remember, it really works, because then I'm only 10 minutes early. Instead of 20 minutes late, I'm 10 minutes early. But it works. And then I have little tricks. Like today, I came here with some friends, and Dave drove, so I knew I'd be early. Like, I do stuff, so it helps me be early instead of late. Let's see. I wanted to talk about step 6. It's about our character defects. And I wrote down notes. If we don't accept ourselves as we are, we pretend to be what we aren't. We pretend to be what we aren't. And that was always me. I was always pretending. I was that actor that they talk about in the big book. And I didn't think I was an actor, but I was. I just wanted to fit in and succeed. And doing step 6, I acknowledge my character defects. In step 7, I let it go, and I'm asking God. I bring God into my life now. So, you know how you go to these meetings and people say, oh, the steps are all on top of each other, they all intermix? It does intermix. So now I love step 11, where I pray and meditate in the morning. So I ask God to help me to please do the next best thing, help me to be of service to others. And that helps take away some of my character defects for the day. Let's see. And I wrote down, we are our own worst critics. I am so hard on myself. And that's why when I did step 9 and I was told to write an amends note to myself, it was so hard. And when I finally did it, it was so, I cry. I still have it. I cry when I read it. And I was told with step 6 and 7, give myself a break. Give myself a break, you know? And I'm so hard on myself. And I asked God, how can I be of service? Let go of the good for the better. That was taught that too. Let go of the good for the better. So I had an okay life, but try to have God lead my life, and I'll see even better. Like I see even better now with my family and my twins. And now that I live here in Boston, the atmosphere is different because, you know, you got your seasons. It's not like 75 degrees all the time like I'm used to. You have some snow, some rain. And you guys drive a little faster than I'm used to. We all go 50 miles an hour over on Maui, you know, and it's just a circle over there. You know, you don't have all these lines, you know. So, so I let go of those character defects, and I've decided fear is not going to rule my world, right? And we learned that in the 4th step. Fear is not going to rule my world. And I'll end with this. One thing that I did with step 6 and 7, I got this from Drop the Rock, and I did this years ago, I should do it again, is in Drop the Rock, they said that this lady worked with her sponsee, they wrote down all their, the sponsee wrote down her character defects, and then they put one character defect per paper, and they put it in a bag, and then they, for 30 days, took out a character defect and worked on it that day. And I did that. I did that with a friend, and I did it with 2 people that I sponsored at the time. And it was kind of fun. Like, so I would pick out fear, and I'd work on fear all day long, and then put it back in. And I'd work on being messy, and I would work on it all day long, and then put it back in the bag. And it was just fun to be mindful. You know, mindful is like the big thing now. Be mindful, be in the day. And that's what I do, and I ask God for help, and I keep coming back. If anyone's new or not used to Big Book Step Study, keep coming back. It's a great way of life, and AA is a great way of life. And I just learned to keep showing up, and I don't have to drink. You know, I would have drank over my son being blind, and I don't have to, or moving here, 6,500 miles away. Oof, and we lost everything. I had to sell everything. Our first surgery was out of pocket because insurance wouldn't cover. I had Hawaii's insurance, Kaiser. You guys don't have Kaiser over here. So it was out of pocket. It was $18,000 I put on all these credit cards. And you know what? Organizations came out and helped me out a couple of years later. The Catastrophic Fund helped me. And it's because I was sober and I could listen to you guys and share and just keep coming back. Thanks for letting me share. Thanks so much.